Good evening, fellow Toastmasters. Good evening. Well, today we've got a workshop session today. And this workshop session is different from the one which we have held earlier. First of all, I would like to welcome you all to Jaipur Toastmasters to attend this particular workshop, especially on Saturday evening. It is said that if Saturdays and Sundays don't excite you, change your friends. If Mondays do not motivate you, then change your profession. And if Mondays are too exciting and you're just running to go to work, change your spouse. So fellow Toastmasters, today's session is all about delivering. It's all about delivery because you've trusted the best speech in the world. But if you do not deliver it well, you won't be able to connect to the audience. In order to connect to the audience, your delivery must be equally eloquent. You must spend just the same amount of time which you spent for drafting a speech. Alright? So, just give me 1 second, I'll just set this right. Is it all visible? Okay, yeah. Now don't worry about the content of the slides because I'll be sharing that later on in our group. I'll just create a PDF, so don't keep on writing so many things, but do write down the important things which are not there in this particular slide. So I'll just take it over here so that I may change the slides as well, just in case. Okay, now the thing is, so body language and vocal variety. Now this is where we ended the last time. And how many of you remember the slide from the last workshop? Okay, can anyone explain me? Because I would like to make this more interactive session rather than me only speaking about anything. So feel free to stop me anytime you don't understand anything or you want more explanation. Because the thing is, I'll be running a bit fast because there are a lot of things to cover in this. So I mean, you might find it going like a Rajdhani, but doesn't matter. Feel free to stop me, pull the chain anytime you don't understand. Okay, can anyone explain me the slide? Anyone? Yep. Please come in. Yeah. All right. What is the slide all about? And what is it explain? Yep. Okay.
So, sir, he's a famous psychologist that are given, and this model is also named on them only. That is everything. Who said communication is the one who doesn't depend on just words. The words only include 7% of the words. And the rest depends on the voice, tone, and body language. And the voice and the tone is the pitches, the word stress, the pauses which you give.
Right.
And the body language includes the expression, the whole body from head to toe. So this should be aligned. Your words and your body language should be aligned.
Exactly. Okay. Now the thing is. As we know, in any speech, content is king. Alright, the content is king, and of course, we as Toastmasters can relate to it because when we are judging any speech, like if you're a judge for any contest, of course, the maximum number of marks are always assigned to the content. Whereas in case of delivery or probably body language, not so many of them, probably you just got about 35-40%. But now the thing is that when we as an audience watch any speech or any performance, forget about speech, any performance, we tend not to remember the words. Probably we just remember about 10, 15 or 20% of the words at maximum of what is being spoken. But what we are going to remember is how it was delivered. What is the impact it had on the audience? How was it able to connect to the audience? Alright, so these they might be superficial things. They might not look really contentious, but the thing is, this is what really counts. Okay, so that's how it is. Now, for example, how many married men do we have over here, apart from me? Who else is married? You're married? All right. So tell me one thing. I would just like to say three things about this. That is, a heated gold is called an ornament. Right? You will all agree to it. And a beaten copper is called a wire. And a compressed carbon is called a diamond. However, a heated, beaten, and a compressed person is called yes. See, I don't need to even say the last one, and you could all just relate to it. Then what am I talking about? So that is what delivery is all about. So delivery is all about knowing what's going to come ahead. That is what the unspoken words are all about. So not everything which is spoken, not everything which is written down has to be spoken. There are certain things which are better left unspoken. Alright, okay? So there are a lot of ways to really impact your speech impact your speech by not speaking the words. For example, before marriage it is called dating, and after marriage it is called accommodating. So friends, so that's what it's all about. So let's move ahead. So today our focus is going to be more towards 55 and 38%, but nevertheless, let's just recap where we left the last time. So first of all, whenever you're drafting speech, like I'm just recapping from the last time for just 1 minute, so that you know where we're going ahead. So the first thing I told you last time was use a speech template. It's very important whenever you are drafting a speech, in order to have a proper structure in any speech. And what is the structure? An opening, a body, and a conclusion. So whenever you want to have that, please use speech templates. There are wonderful speech templates which are available. Message me in case you can't find anything. So speech template always adds a good structure to a speech. You know where you're missing out on. The second thing was engage the audience. There are different ways to engage the audience. Have an impactful opening. Have an opening by asking questions. Have an opening by demonstrating something in which the audience says, wow. Because until unless you do not have an engagement, a proper opening, your speech is going to just fall flat. So engage the audience. Use descriptive and figurative language. Have a language which is filled up of all idioms, metaphors, rhetorical devices, and of course it should be grammatically correct. So use figurative languages. Then the fourth was, remember, very important point, people don't talk the way they write. Right? So this is very important. That is when you are writing a speech for the audience, it's not the same as how you write a book or a sentence. Use smaller sentences, use sentences which the audience may retain. Use simple language, don't use too complex jargons, otherwise you will end up probably confusing the audience more than passing your right message. Okay, so these were the main points which were covered in the last speeches, right, more in detail. Now in today's world, you don't have to be able to talk the talk. More important than talking the talk, you have to walk the talk. What exactly does it mean, walk the talk? That whatever you're talking, you should be able to demonstrate it. If you're not able to demonstrate it, again, whatever you're talking won't really make so much of an impact. So walk the talk rather than talk the talk. That's what the session is all about. So there are three major categories of body language: gestures, facial expression, and the whole body movement. We'll be also doing a lot of exercises later on. I've got some worksheets for you to to improvise on all these things. So the first section is more on body language. Now, a lot of times we've seen that speakers, they're just standing either behind the podium or they're just standing out in one place. Like, something like how we learned in our school. Probably in our school days when we deliver our first speech, when our teacher told us to deliver the first speech, she told us, okay, just hold your hands like this and just recite the poem. And that's how we used to recite the poem. Right? Whatever poems which we learned, probably we even know them till today. But of course, what was the reason for that? So that we are able to speak out from our mind. But however, over the period of time, you have to come out from that shell and you have to use the stage. Use the stage judiciously to create a maximum impact for your speech. Of course, we'll be talking more about these things. Now, the first thing first, you might be asking, how do we use the stage? Or basically, like, how do we know where to move and how to move and what should be the reason to move? Should we just keep on moving like this? Like whenever we're saying any speeches, a lot of speakers which even I see over here, they keep on just moving like this. And no matter how much you tell them, they might lessen the speed, but it's going to be like this. Okay, so one golden rule is, you know the stage. First of all, whenever you're delivering any speech, please come early at the venue. Don't come out there at the last moment. Come out there, be there at least half an hour before you're delivering your speech. At least. Go to the venue, go to the stage, make the stage your friend. The more you're familiar with the stage, the more you'll be comfortable while delivering speech. It is okay for you to be nervous. I mean, anyone who is delivering a speech is always nervous. Even I'm nervous. Even today, maybe after 15 years of delivering speeches, I don't know how many speeches. But even today, when I came to the venue, I first saw the whole stage. I made myself familiar with the stage. Because the more you're familiar with the stage, the more the stage will also respect you. Okay, so the first thing to do is always divide it into 9 imaginary squares. For example, for me the imaginary square is square number 1, square number 2, square number 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So I know that whatever I have to deliver, it has to be within this particular 9 blocks. We call this 9 blocks. 9 block or whatever it is, you may Google it up. So you have to use these 9 blocks. So whenever you're practicing any speech, you've drafted the best speech in the world, but when you're delivering it, don't be stuck to one block. Know when to move forward, know when to move backward. Some of the golden rules of moving forward and backward are, whenever you are delivering an important message, come forward and deliver to the audience. Whenever you're doing any demonstrations, stay at the back. Now remember, a very important rule, whenever there are multiple characters in your story or in your speech, create holograms. Just write down this word because I don't have it written down over there. Holograms, H-O-L-O-G-R-A-M-S. So what exactly is a hologrammatic movement? Is that you create, for example, I'm delivering a speech. Fellow Toastmasters, how many of you have various friends on social media? Now let me tell you, those friends, if I'm there on social media, I can create thousands of friends in just a couple of days. But would those friends be ever useful if you were to call them at 3 o'clock at midnight? The 3 most important friends are the friends of my time, the friends of my blood, and the friends whom I can rely on. So what I've done is that I've created 3 separate holograms, 3 different persons. Then, now I'll be describing the first person from here. The friends of our time. These are the friends whom I've known from birth. These are the friends who probably I don't call them up every day, but I know that maybe if I call them once in a year to wish them or greet them, I would be able to connect with them. Friends of my time. These are the friends of my profession. They may be Toastmasters, or they may be from my own field. And these are the people whom I know I can rely upon them if I fall under any difficulty. And the friends whom I long to meet are the friends whom I really want to build up my relation. I know them, but however, I'm not really comfortable with them from talking for a long time. But these are the people whom I would like to associate with whom I can grow. Okay, so now what I've done, I've divided the stage into 3 sections for 3 different friends. So I've created 3 different holograms. Right, so these holograms can help you or the audience to relate that where I am, in which block I am, and whom am I talking about. Yes?
But how the audience will know that these are the holograms which we have created?
The friends of my time, friends of my blood, and the friends of... So when I'm standing at these 3 points, I'm explaining to the audience that these are the 3 friends.
Okay, we are explaining it.
Yeah, the speaker is explaining that who these 3 friends are and where they are on the stage. Right? So it creates a hologramic, the holograms of who these three are. So they can be used for various instances. They can be used, I mean, let's say if I've got multiple characters, like I'm talking to my mother. So I'm standing here, my mom is standing here, and of course, how am I standing? As a child, I'm standing with a lower height. My mother is a person of authority, so she's looking down on me, and I'm looking up on her. Right? So basically, this is another way of creating holograms. Okay. Is it clear? That is how a stage should be set, and this thing should be in your mind before you're delivering any speech. It doesn't have to come impromptu. It has to be pre-planned properly. Record yourself, and I mean, get some audience to sit in front of you. That does it really make sense for them with these holograms? Are they able to relate to it or not? So this is how you set up the stage. If you have any props, please put the props way before you're delivering any speech. Know how it's going to be placed. Just know how big is the stage. And of course, over here the stage is quite small. But let's say when you're participating in a contest in any universities, they'll be having a huge stage over there. So in the huge stage, just know that how much time would it take for you to move from one point to other point. Okay, because if you have to use the stage, I'm not saying you have to use the whole entire stage, but at least the 50% of the 50% of the stage. That is, if it's a big stage, use 50% of it, and know how much time will it take to go from one end to other end. So have some ample time, buffer time in your speech for all these stage movements, because sometimes they take longer time than what we really do anticipate. Okay, is this clear?
Yes.
Now this is regarding the stage. Now the second thing is, how do we express ourselves? Expression plays a very important part in any speech. So these expressions, they come from gestures, the gestures of our face. Let's say you're explaining something of sorrow. It has happened a lot of times in Toastmasters. That is, we are expressing a sorrowful story of our life, and the speaker is smiling. Yeah, it has really happened a lot of times. That is, a speaker is really like he's talking something about death, and he's smiling. So depending on what your story is about, what it is, you need to express the grief. Express the grief that is, oh my God, this is something what has happened to me. Have the expression like this. It's always better to over-express yourself, especially that is, oh my God, what really happened? Express yourself, break out the child within you. A lot of us fear to express ourselves. And that is also, believe it or not, a part of nervousness. So this nervousness needs to come out through practice. There is no magical formula for it, that this is how you do it. It's all through practice. Express yourself clearly, EYC. So this is one thing. Then of course, the whole body movement again has to be congenial. Believe it or not, each one of us have flaws in our body movement whenever we are expressing ourselves on stage. For example, I still have a lot of wrong body movements, and I acknowledge all the evaluators who really pinpointed to me. For example, you might even note it that maybe after half an hour I might be standing like that, slouching, or I might be slouching. So it happens to me as well, and I really appreciate anyone who really pinpoints it to me. So where is possible, try to create proper balance whenever you are expressing any speech or anything, and be properly balanced. So you can make a mistake on both your legs. Okay, so this should be your ideal position, probably in the center, and of course, as I mentioned, purposeful movements are very important. So I'll just be now running through some of the slides. For example, puffed chest. What exactly does it mean? What does it express? First of all, sorry. The first point is the shoulder shrug. I don't know. So that's shoulder shrug. Puffed chest. It's an achievement. It's an achievement that I achieved the title of DTM. Yeah. Puffed chest. Sucked stomach. Well, I generally do it when I'm in front of ladies. That is to be sure that I'm still quite young. I'm not so fat as I look. Alright, so puffed stomach. Sucked stomach, sorry. crossing. Oh Lord, please protect me. It's going to be a bad day today. Yes. So that's finger crossing. No stepping. This is a bad habit which even I have still. No stepping. Please mind your own business. Well, sometimes I still do a lot of no stepping. Probably it's hereditary within me. Even my dad used to do it a lot. So that's not a good thing to do when you're delivering a speech. Thumbs up, bad luck, best of luck, victory. Rubbing your palms together. If you're rubbing your palms together, what does that indicate? It's all body language. I'm expecting a positive expectation. That when you're anxious, oh my god, what is going to happen? What is going to happen? This is the last ball of the match. Is Rohit Sharma going to strike a 6 or not? Okay, so that's rubbing palm together. So these are just very common gestures that is which we may use in a speech. That is when you're expressing something, empathy or something, so it all comes over. All these types of body movements, there are a lot of them. Now this is again, yeah please.
So sometimes we have seen majorly speakers when they are on stage, they have this closed hand or something like that. What does this depict? Is it like hands towards their body rather than outwards?
Mm-hmm. Yep. A lot of time, again not all the time, most of the time, it depicts nervousness. Most of the time, again not all the time. Now the thing is that there are a lot of gestures for nervousness, which a lot of us are not even aware about. Even a seasoned speaker is not even aware about a lot of aspects of nervousness. For example, hands in the pocket. A lot of speakers do that. Then even if they're behind the podium, or even if they're walking, they'll be having their hands in the pocket. So it's again one of the signs of nervousness. There may be a lot of signs of nervousness, but of course it all gets overcome through practice and through proper evaluation. As an evaluator, please point out if you notice any type of nervousness, anxiety issues with the speaker. Because a lot of times the speaker is not even aware about it. Alright? So these are certain things. Then hands on the hips. For example.
So one more doubt, so some of the times people say that you have to smile whenever you are delivering something. Like today I'm asking questions, or if you are delivering your evaluations or anything, people expect you to smile. But so what's your observation? Should we on stage always show some expression rather than a certain face?
Yeah. Okay. Now the thing is that of course a smiling face is always welcome. And of course, if you're a speaker, I always expect you, rather than having a grumpy face, it's always better to have a smiling face. Because the more you smile, the more you export positivity. Alright, for your speech.
But when you are as an evaluator giving evaluations, so is it required to have a smile on your face?
It always pays to smile. There's no loss in smiling. So why not smile and give the evaluation? Okay, now the only time I do not smile or I have a poker face is, believe it or not, when I'm giving a funny speech. And I mean, there's a reason for that. I mean, you should not laugh at your own face. So when you're giving a funny speech or a very speech which has got a punch line and a punch word, have a poker face.
What is poker face like?
A poker face, poker is the game of cards. So of course, whenever you're playing cards, you wouldn't want the person ahead in front of you or your competitors to know that what you have in your hand. That is, you have a good hand or a bad hand. So at that time, be expressionless so that they can't understand that what you have in your hand. So have a poker face when you're delivering a funny speech. If possible, I'll try to deliver a funny speech today so that you might get an idea of it. What a poker face is.
Sir, a question, but sometimes the audience misses your joke when you have a poker face. So is the poker face ideal?
They won't miss it because of the poker face. They will ideally, this is what they will miss it if you've not expressed it properly. If you've not expressed that joke properly. But of course, you must have expression whenever you're delivering a joke. I'm not saying don't have expressions. Have the body movement, have the required expression. But when you're saying something funny, don't smile, don't laugh at your own jokes. That's very important. Okay, hands on the hips, aggressive. It is generally done by politicians who are very aggressive. when delivering a speech. One person whom I can relate to was Bal Thackeray. He always used to stand like this whenever he used to deliver any speeches, any bhashan. Alright, so this is a sign of aggressiveness. There may be a lot of people, big managers and okay, now these are just some common postures. I won't be going through all of them. I'll be sharing all these slides with you later on. So like if you've got arms folded, that means you are again authoritative, unsympathetic. Then if you're a bowing head, that means probably you're respecting someone of a higher status. And of course, if you're slouching forward, that means you're feeling very low. Oh my God, today I've had a bad day. Everything was going wrong. So of course, at that time you'll ideally be slouching forward. Okay, so there are a lot of common postures and what they really mean. I won't be going through all of them right now. Similarly, gestures play a very important part. The facial gestures, I can't explain you even in words, but they are very important. Like it really comes, you really get to develop more on it once you start observing. Observe the best film stars. Just see how they express themselves with face. They express more with their facial gestures than probably words. Alright? For example, you might have seen any good films, and of course, you see the expression, observe the expression, and then try to incorporate those whatever you can. I'm not saying be Amitabh Bachchan or like that, but I mean whatever things that you can observe from them, and whatever you can use it in your speech. Try to use that. Okay, so there are a lot of different types of gestures, boredom gestures, and all these gestures. So body language plays a very important part. Again, there are some irritating gestures as well. For example, a lot of times, even I used to do this, and I'm also a culprit. For example, I used to touch my nose a lot, even while delivering a speech. Someone pointed it out to me, why are you rubbing and touching your nose so much? It's not a good gesture. Especially when they show the British lady, and she told me that rubbing your nose, it means that you're not speaking the truth. Like a lot of us, we might have read Pinocchio when we were kids. So what really happened to Pinocchio? Whenever he used to touch the nose, it used to go wrong. Whenever he used to say something wrong, and whenever he used to say something right, it used to be back again. So touching the nose is not really a good sign. It means that you are saying something which is wrong. Right? So similarly, that is rubbing your eyes too often, finger in the mouth. Generally, we find it more in the kids. Or people just standing like this or something like that. So there are a lot of irritating gestures which you should know about. Probably from your mentors or your evaluators. Record yourself and just note that were you doing something irritating while you were delivering your speech. And believe it or not, when you watch your own video, you are the best critique of yourself. No one else is going to criticize you so much as you are going to criticize yourself. So record yourself and watch yourself and know where you can improvise further. Okay, I want to say. Okay, so now there are a lot of different facial expressions. Probably, would anyone like to demonstrate? Let's say they're happy. How will you demonstrate yourself? Let's say if you're happy. So come on the stage and just say how will you demonstrate yourself? I'm happy. Yes, he's happy. He's happy. Thank you. Okay, for sadness, you can express it from there. From sadness, if you have to really express yourself, face the audience and express yourself with a sad face. Oh my God. She's a Meena Kumari today. All right. Now surprise. Surprise. I mean, like one of the best surprises when Sushmita sent one Miss Universe. So that's a surprise. Disgust. Anyone would like to demonstrate disgust? Yeah. Oh, VP is doing it quite well. Okay, show it to the audience. Oh my God, I'm disgusted. Fear. How would you demonstrate fear? Like you've just seen a ghost. You're fearful. Anger. How will you demonstrate anger? You really put up your eyebrows and you demonstrate anger. Alright, so these are just some of the expressions which you have. Okay, another important point. When you're delivering any speech, eye contact. Now the eye contact has to be very balanced whenever you're delivering a speech. Again, I used to make a lot of mistakes earlier on in eye contact. The mistake I used to make in eye contact was that I used to just have an eye contact with one person or with one section a lot of time, for a long time. And more than me getting embarrassed, the person with whom I was having eye contact used to get embarrassed after a period of time. And actually someone pointed it, one of my colleagues when I was working in Singapore pointed it out to me. That is, you really make me so embarrassed because you just keep on looking at me at one place. And believe it or not, I might be delivering the most important message. But if I keep on looking at just one place, and all the while, that person is going to really get embarrassed. But let me tell you one thing, that looking at one person sometimes can also be used as a tool. It is used as a tool because when you've got a disruptive audience, and it has worked a lot, that you've got sometimes one audience member who is disrupting you for like a lot of times in between, for whatsoever reason. Probably he had a bad day or anything, and he's disrupting you a lot of time. So at that time, just keep on looking at that particular person more often than you're looking at another person. I'm not saying keep on irritating him, but just look at him, stare at him, and just seek validation from him. Am I correct? And so I mean that particular person will start behaving himself. Okay, so again, looking at one place, it can be irritating, and it can also be used as a tool sometimes. Now the second thing is, as I mentioned, too much of eye contact is dominance, lack of respect, threat, wish to insult. Similarly, too little eye contact is equally bad. Too little eye contact towards one section of the audience means I'm neglecting them. So, and especially now, let's say you've got a whole huge audience. Let's say you've got more than 100 people, or maybe 200 people in your audience, and they are spread out at various places. So now it's not possible for you to look at 200 people into their eyes all the while. So how do you really do that in that case? How do you really balance it?
Scan. Dividing the audience into sections.
Okay. Yeah, that is, I mean, okay, dividing them into section one way. And the second way is always just look above the head of the audience from one point to other point. Alright, because now sometimes even having too much eye contact can distract you from the message you really want to deliver. So what this is what I generally do. I'm not saying this is the only way. There are a lot of different ways. Some people are able to also see each and every person in their eyes and seek validation. But generally, what I do generally is that I just look above the head, just on the head, from on the forehead, from left to right or left to right, and basically the audience, they get a sense that I'm connecting with them, with each and every one of them. Okay, so eye contact is very important because I mean, let's say if you're looking down and you're just speaking something or reciting something, reciting a poem, so that really gives you a lack of self-confidence, and the audience is able to understand it. Yeah.
So suppose you are in an auditorium and giving your speech. Now you have audience sitting in the front row as well to the last row as well. So how will you maintain the eye contact? At the end you are on this height. So coming to the people in front, how will you manage that kind of audience?
Yeah. Now, I was going to come to that point. Now let's say you're participating in a contest. Now of course, when you're participating in the contest, generally our eyes, it tends to go towards the latter half of the audience. In a normal scenario, that's what I'm saying. But believe it or not, the most important people are sitting on the front row. Especially your judges are sitting on the front row. Your judges and whoever are the VIPs, they are generally sitting on the front row, generally. So of course, it is very important at that point of time to also connect to the audience over here, as well as the normal audience on the middle section and on the end section. And probably if it's a huge auditorium where there are also balconies, you also how do you connect to the audience on the balcony? Alright. So of course keep a midpoint. That's one reason I always say let's come to the value only. Know where your audience will be seated. Know where your eye contact has to be, and where you have to move your head, and which are the areas which are tricky areas like the front row, which you do not have to neglect. So I mean, the thing is that you must be able to meet the audience's expectation everywhere, including the ones on the balcony. Alright? Like I knew one particular person, one artist who always used to first greet the audience on the balcony. Like by saying something funny, because he used to say कि सबसे पहले मैं जो ऊपर जो बैठे हुए हैं उनका धन्यवाद करना चाहता हूँ, क्योंकि जो कुछ भी होता है दुनिया में सब ऊपर वालों के कारण होता है. Alright, so I mean you addressed the people sitting on the top. So I mean, acknowledge the audience wherever they're sitting, that is they're sitting on the top row, on the bottom row, middle row, wherever they are. Acknowledge the presence of them. Okay, this is clear? Okay, this is very whole body movements, tense, relaxed, are covered point. As I mentioned before, there is a certain point which I've already covered, that is, where your speaking position, don't be stationed, don't be frozen at one place, keep on varying your stance. Practice yourself in front of your, I'd also mentioned this, record yourself and watch yourself. Because you will be the best critic of yourself. Get some family members in front of you, ask them for the feedback, and also, like, if you're a very shy person, practice in front of a mirror. Okay, so to begin with, you can always practice in front of a mirror, a huge mirror, a big mirror, know your body language, know your gestures, and then keep on moving ahead. Okay. Now the second section, vocal variety. This is, yeah, please.
Before moving to second section, so we have this stage movement W, X, Y, and G. So when to use which one, how to use that?
I generally that's also one type of stage movement. I always prefer 9 blocks. This is my personal because 9 blocks always helps you to know that which block is really best for you. Yeah, one more thing you asked me. One more thing, that is, whenever you have drafted a speech, it's very important while drafting the speech, that is, know at which point, at which block you're going to be. Right? Like write that down in a bracket, like in front of the speech, just after that paragraph, wherever you have to write down. That is, what is your positioning going to be? Let's say आप opening में हो, and in the opening, where is your position going to be? Alright, then let's say you are describing anything, what is the position you're going to be? When are you going to create holograms? First hologram, second hologram, third hologram. So write that down in a bracket. Like, of course, it should not distract what you've written down. Write it down in a very small bracket, probably just above your speech or on the side of the speech. So that thing will be the focus. कि इस particular part में मुझे कैसे express करना है अपने आप को, and in which part of the stage do I have to be in this section. Because if you really see the speeches which are written down by these World Championship of Public Speaking, they are so detailed in the speeches that half of the things you'll not be able to understand what they're written down. It's only they can understand. It's all in jargons and bits and things. Okay, so this is very important. Yeah.
But would it make it complicated? Like, I'm hearing a speech, I'm already scared, right? So I have to remember what I've written, what I've drafted. Then I have to remember what expressions I have to give.
Yep.
Then I have to remember what block I'm going to stand on. So like as a starter, it really gets difficult.
It does. It does.
You almost like maybe do it, but what about all of us? Like?
Well, that's how you become a professional. That's why you become. No, seriously speaking, I'm not saying it's easy. Because first of all, for you to remember the speech, and then for you also to remember that is on which block do I have to be at which point of the speech, and why I have to be there. And of course, then what is my expression going to be at that time? What is my vocal variety going to be at that time? It's not easy. So that's why I always recommend that is before you are delivering the actual speech, even for a simple club, write that speech down at least 1 week before your delivery date. At least one week before, because and I mean, get it validated from your mentor or your coach or anyone, so that in case anything has to be changed, you know what has to be changed, and I mean you're able to execute those changes in your speech. Like a lot of speeches, I mean, which do come to me for mentorship is for a speech which they want to deliver the next day. So I also beat my head. I mean, even I'm surprised. I mean, like, what am I going to tell him? If I tell him with too much of changes, he'll not be able to understand anything. So always take out time. Consider speech writing and delivering an important aspect of your task. Like how you prioritize other things. And I mean, take some time, show some passion in speeches, so that you're able to execute. This point you're able to visualize more than execute. You're able to visualize. When I'm delivering a speech out here, and when I say this particular point, how do I need to express myself? What are the things I need to take into account to express myself? Okay?
So, one question. Suppose if your speech is all about your levels or your how your journey is going. Suppose you are delivering a speech on journey. So, if you want, like, journey is about going ahead in life. So, do we need to follow this 1, 2, 3, 4 step and not covering the left and right part of the stage?
No, not really. I mean, the more important thing is that as an audience, they must be able to understand that is on which part of the journey are you mentioning. For example, you as a child. Alright? So of course, now again, your expression has to be as a child. Your stage positioning has to be probably somewhere towards the left. And what exactly happened over there? That is at that point of time, and what did I get out of it? What is the message you want to pass on to the audience from that first stage? So you come out from the first hologram, express to the audience what is the takeaway message from the first instance. उसी तरीके से second instance, you express yourself. What is the message? Third, what is the message? Now generally, again, this is again not important that you only have to be here for the second stage. There might be 3 or 4 characters. Start from here, move about the stage, and again, come back over here. Alright, so make yourself comfortable in the movements. Now it doesn't come overnight, you need to practice. Like, no matter how much I say right now, it's not going to get executed immediately. Okay, is it clear regarding anything for stage movements or anything like that? There are a lot of things, I mean, even I can understand it's not possible to cover everything right now. But I mean, also, one more thing, I mean, in stage movement is know about the props that you're going to use. Ask yourself this question that do I really need to use this prop? Because remember one thing, any prop that you add in your speech has got a positive and a negative implication. The positive is that, okay, it might demonstrate what you want to show, but it takes up time. It takes up the speech time. Ask yourself this question, is it really worthwhile for me to really take out 15 seconds or 30 seconds from my speech just for this prop? Okay, I'm not saying prop is a bad thing, but it must have a particular, it must enhance your speech so that it validates your point. Okay, moving ahead, vocals are extremely important. The audience remembers you by your voice. Each one of us has got a distinct and a unique voice which has been given by God. Okay. Now, vocal variety. So play with the voice whenever you're delivering any speech. How do you play with your voice? You play with your voice by, the first way is, we've got a head voice and we've got a chest voice. And vocal variety can be developed. I used to have a terrible voice when I started in Toastmasters. Half of the people could not even understand me. And one of the reasons was I had a very strong Indian accent. I still have an Indian accent, I'm proud of it. But like I was a Toastmaster in Singapore. And out there in Singapore, that is, like of course they've got their own sense of speaking English. Like their English is known as Singlish, Singaporean English. Now they've got their own accent. Now of course whenever they used to listen to me, I used to get the same evaluation for almost 6 months. You are speaking too fast. We cannot understand you. And it used to be regular, and I used to acknowledge it, but I didn't even know how to really rectify myself. So of course, I started working on it. I asked some of my friends, they were not able to really give me some concrete way. So one thing, what I did was, I started using a cork. So that really helped me. I've also got it here in case. What really happens with the cork is that take any one sentence, speak it normally. Of course, when I speak normally, it's going to be too fast because that's how I'm used to it. So for example, I'm saying, the quick brown fox jumped over the lazy dogs. It's got all the alphabets from A to Z, like all the vowels and consonants. Now I'll say the same thing with this. Keep on saying it over and over again. It will encourage you to open your mouth and say the same thing in a more slower way. You can also do it with a pen cap, but I prefer using cork because over a period of time the pen cap is very irritating. It really starts biting your mouth. So use this. I still use this when I'm practicing singing. Whenever I'm practicing singing, the same thing occurs to me that my trainer, she keeps on saying that I'm not opening my mouth fully, and because of that, the words are not coming out loudly or impactfully. So the two ways she guides me is again the same thing. The cork, use this cork and sing the same song or just say the same line in normal way and try saying it with this cork. You might sound funny, it doesn't matter. I might have sounded funny out here, but I mean, don't worry about that. The most important thing is to rectify yourself rather than judging yourself. Alright, so these are corks. They're also available on Amazon at a very cheap price in India, luckily. So invest in these things if you feel that you're speaking too fast. Okay, so speaking too fast can be also very irritating, and speaking too slow can also be equally irritating. So know where you have to pace yourself and how you have to pace yourself. Okay, now coming to this, there are two types of voices, the head voice and the chest voice. Generally, males are designed to have a heavier or a more stronger chest voice. Alright? Whereas the females are designed to have a better control of their head voice. Now there are cases when you have to use your head voice, and there are places where you have to use your chest voice. A chest voice is generally spoken by a more authoritative person, or basically when you have to really give a particular point, or you have to elucidate a particular point. You always speak slowly with the chest voice. It brings out the impact. A head voice is used in various different cases. Let's say for example, you have to show anxiety, or let's say if you have to more than that, screech, or you have to shout and scream or something like that. At that time, head voice plays more impact. But they both are equally important. They both have their own importance. So whenever you're writing, again, whenever you're drafting any speech, know the vocal variety you have to use. Now again, vocal variety is of two types. I'll just come back. Vocal variety is of two types. First vocal variety is that when you change the pitch, speed, and the pitch and speed, and the loudness of your voice, and the pace of your voice. That's one type of vocal variety. And the second type of vocal variety is when you're imitating someone. Okay, like for example, if I'm imitating like my father, my mother, any cartoon character, or anyone, so let's say I'm imitating a bird. So that will be also a vocal variety. Yeah. Yes, what was the question?
So my question is hand voice is for the should be excitement?
Yes.
Or should
Excitement, anxiety, or let's say when I'm trying to speak like a child.
Okay.
So at that time, I'll use head voice. Probably I'll just demonstrate it. Let me just think. Like for example, I'm a grandfather and I'm also a child. Like I'm playing two characters. Right? एक बार ये बहुत समय की बात पहले की बात है, जब एक छोटा सा खरगोश था. उस खरगोश का नाम था चिंटू. हाँ चिंटू, ये तो मेरा नाम है. अरे हाँ, ये तो तुम्हारा भी नाम है चिंटू. तो वो खरगोश का नाम था चिंटू, और वो खरगोश बहुत शरारती था. हाँ, इसके बारे में और बताओ ना मुझे कि चिंटू क्या क्या करता था. Head voice and chest voice. A chest voice is used to demonstrate an old man, and थोड़े आवाज में भी ठहराव. That is how an old man would really speak, and how a child would speak with the head voice. Okay, so head voice and chest voice, they can be used in different ways for different places. Again, as I mentioned, vocal variety and mimicking are two separate things, but they both come in vocal variety. Now, when should you speak loudly and when should you speak softly? When do you speak loudly in any speech? Okay, emphasis. Any other things? Any other points?
Excitement.
Okay, excitement. There are a lot of cases, I mean, there's no right and wrong answer, just express yourself.
So normally when we are expecting the answer, expecting the answers, we're not pausing a state, not finishing a state, like this.
When you want to create some kind of goosebump movement, like you want to make everyone inspired or something like that.
Not in your answer.
Telling the result after what you were telling, what you were showing through ideas, what you were done, and what is the outcome.
Alright. Okay, they're all right answers. Basically, when you want to really emphasize or really put up your point in a very justified. There are a lot of points. I'm not saying I'm only right. There are a lot of areas when you have to speak loudly. When you're making the point. In today's world, we need to have female participation, female empowerment, female this, female that. You speak loudly. But then, when you put up your opinion and the solution, you speak softly. But however, unfortunately, it does not exist in today's world. It is a crisis. Let me tell you by the facts and figures what is the state of our country today when it comes to female education. Right? So do you all stand together for female education, female empowerment? Can I have your agreement?
Yes.
You speak loudly.
Conviction.
Yeah. That is when you want an agreement from others. But when you're putting down the facts and figures, and you're expressing some shocking news, come forward, speak softly. Is it all making sense so far?
Yes.
So when you deliver a speech and add emphasis loud, as I mentioned before, it amplifies emotion. Yep.
So my question is when we recite a story, then also we have to play with this the pitches of that, loudness and the softness. Then also while reciting a story, then also while having the facts and the figures, then the voice should be low.
Yes, it should be low whenever you exemplify, whenever you're giving any facts and figures, that this is the fact. What should be? This is what should be. But unfortunately, that is not the case.
Okay.
What is the case? So that is softly. This is just one example. To draw close attention of the audience. When you want to draw the attention of the audience, slowly.
Okay.
And when you want to emphasize any point, any emotion, loudly. Okay. Now, again, one more important point. A lot of us are very soft speakers. A lot of us are soft speakers, and there's nothing wrong with that. A lot of us are even loud speakers. Nothing wrong with that. Now, whenever you come to the stage, whenever you're giving any speech, always get one person to stand right at the back of the stage and just see, can he hear you? Are you audible to him or her whenever you speak? If you're audible to the person who is sitting right at the end, that means your voice is at the correct amplitude. Okay, so always do this drill whenever you're delivering any contest speech or any normal speech also. As I mentioned before, come to the venue early, at least half an hour early. Practice all these things. Practice makes perfect. So you must be audible to the audience in a correct way. As I mentioned, your own voice always sounds louder to you than to your audience. Now, there's an exercise for all of you. Okay. The first thing is start going from soft to loud. For example, I'll just do it. Red should be at the very normal pace. Red, orange, yellow, green, blue, purple. soft to loud. So all of you, let's just find a partner. Okay, great. Have everyone done it?
Yes.
Okay, the purpose of this exercise is know how to amplify your voice from normal bass to louder bass and from normal bass to lower bass. Okay, so this is just one of the drills you can practice. Now playing with volume. Okay, so I've got some exercises for all of you. In the first exercise, there are these 3 or 4 paragraphs out here. Now in this paragraph, if you had to speak or deliver this paragraph, just imagine yourself you have to speak or deliver this particular paragraph on the stage. So at which area would you increase the volume? There might be 2 or 3 or maybe 4 places where you have to increase the volume at certain words or maybe words or maybe a sentence. So in which area would you really increase the volume in this particular exercise 1? Right now we are only doing the exercise 1. Okay, now according to you, can you just read out this paragraph and which are the areas or sentence or sentences or words where you would increase your volume? So just read it out with it.
When I go to the theater and found out that the movie was sold out, I was angry. And I have been waiting to see that movie for 3 months. And tonight, it was my only day of all week. I had bought my ticket earlier. I tried to bargain with ticket taker, but he would not even listen to me. First, I offered him $10 to let me in. Then I promised to stay after the show and help clean up all the popcorn and on the floor of the theater. I can't believe he didn't accept my
When I got to the theater and found out that the movie was sold out, I was so angry. I've been waiting to see the movie for 3 months now, and tonight is my only day of all week. If only I had bought my ticket earlier. I tried to bargain with the ticket taker, but he would not listen to me. First, I offered him $10 to let me in. Then I promised to stay after the show and help clean all the popcorns and M&Ms on the floor of the theater. I can't believe he didn't accept my offer.
When I got to the theater and found out that the movie was sold out, I was so angry. I've been waiting to see the movie for 3 months now, and tonight is my only day of all week. If only I had bought my ticket earlier. I tried to bargain with the ticket taker, but he won't listen to me. First, I offered him $10 to let me in. Then I promised to stay after the show and help clean up all the popcorn and M&M on the floor of the theater. I can't believe he didn't accept my offer. Nice.
When I got to the theater and found out that the movie was sold out, I was so angry. I have been waiting to see that movie for 3 months. Now and tonight is my only day of all the week. If only I had bought my tickets earlier. I tried to bargain with the ticket taker, but he would not have even listened to me. First, I offered him $10 to leave me in. Then I promised to stay after the show and help clean up all the popcorns and M&M on the floor of the theater. I can't believe he didn't accept my offer.
Now there's certain things which you read the paragraph carefully, you'll be able to understand when and why you should increase the volume. Certain tips are whenever you have an exclamation mark. you will notice over here there are exclamation marks at 2 places. If only I would have bought the ticket earlier. You increase the volume. Then I can't believe he didn't accept my offer. Exclamation mark. So exclamation mark is always used whenever you're surprised or you're expressing some gestures. So these are the 2 points which are a key takeaway when you should increase the volume. The third was, of course, I was so angry. You have to express. Okay, so the main areas are I was so angry. I've been waiting to see that movie for 3 months now. If only I would have bought the ticket earlier, he wouldn't even listen to me. In the last paragraph also, I think it's missing the last paragraph. That is, I can't read it except now. Okay, so these are the places where when you express anguish, at that time you increase the volume. Okay, now similarly coming to exercise 2, decreasing the volume. So it's the same thing. There are at least 2 places, or maybe more, 3, 4, whatever, when you would decrease the volume.
You will never guess what happened today in speech class. We were taking a test and my pencil broke. So I got up and went to the sharpener in the back of the room. That's when I glanced over at Nick and noticed that he keeps continuously blowing his nose. I mean, he didn't seem to have a cold or anything, but he must have pulled out that tissue about 6 times a minute. Then I realized it is because he has all of his study notes written on the clinics. Each time he would blow his nose, he would glance down at the tissue that revealed the answer.
You will never guess what happened today in speech class. We were taking a test and my pencil broke. So I got up and went to the sharpener in the back of the room. That's when I glanced over at Nick and noticed that he keeps continuously blowing his nose. I mean, he didn't seem to have a cold or anything. But he must have pulled out that tissue about 6 times a minute. Then I realized it is because he has all of his study notes written on the Kleenex. Each time he would blow his nose, he would glance down at the tissue that revealed the answer. It was so obvious. I can't believe Mr. Homer didn't notice.
On how to determine which are the areas of decreasing volume. Okay, see, over here, like as I mentioned in exercise 1, the exclamation mark was a key giveaway. That when you should increase the volume. And over here, you will notice the dot. So the dot is a key giveaway. That is, when you have to be more somber and when you have to decrease the volume. We were taking a rest and my pencil broke. So I got up, went to the sharpener in the back of the room. And then in the third paragraph, then I realized. You speak more in a more somber way.
Sir, a question. Sir, when we are writing a speech, we do not interpret these dot.
Why not? You can if you want to.
What I'm saying is, when I am personally writing a speech, I do not, let's say I am not able to do this. And we are given the hint that wherever the dot is in here, we have to slow down our pitch. That is one key takeaway. So, where do you think this, while writing a speech, would be important from a perspective of a writer? And where to include these dots?
Okay. Yeah. See, these dots are generally included at a place, where there is an unsaid word, an unsaid word, an unsaid emotion. So at that point of time, you generally put dots. All right.
Thank you.
Now, let me give you the one or two examples. Fellow Toastmasters, did you know that marriage is a workshop? Yes, it's a workshop where the man works and the wife. Dot. Okay, so this is an example of where you have to slow down because the unsaid thing is always there.
So,
Yeah.
it is kind of tricky. Like I'm understanding what you're saying, but if I think like I'm going to inculcate, then I'm really sitting here with a mess. Like, okay, where to lower, where to upper, because I can't understand all these things. I don't know why.
Where's the confusion? Let's see. Basically, you increase the volume when you really want to substantiate something. Like यहाँ पे exclamation mark आता है. What the exclamation mark is generally a sign to speak more authoritatively. Exclamation mark. And the dots are a place where there's uncertainty. So place where there's uncertainty, where there's something unsaid. At that time you use dots.
I got what you are explaining. I know I got what you are explaining, but I don't know why I can't be able to implicate in me.
It will come from practice. Practice makes perfect. If you keep on practicing, keep on reading more, keep on not only reading, keep on what you read. Say that loud. Record yourself.
Okay.
Record yourself. I mean, again, you are the best PT if you record yourself. That's how I learned singing. When I started singing, I couldn't even listen to myself. I used to find myself singing like a donkey. but then later on, I started improving. Yeah. All right. So are these two things clear?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Another example. Laughing at your own mistake. Please listen carefully. Laughing at your own mistake can lengthen your life. However, laughing at your wife's mistake can shorten your life. Okay. Now playing with volume. This is the okay. The same thing. The answer to that. All the dots are there, and it is because of this area. Okay, now the pitch. Okay, can anyone tell me? Do you all know what is pitching in voice?
Yes.
Now, can anyone tell me what's the difference between volume and pitch?
Sir, volume means the increasing volume and the decreasing volume. So when I'm singing in a high volume, that is the high. When I'm singing, this pitch will be a man or a woman's pitch. So a woman pitch is generally shriller. The wavelength is compressed to each other. So they speak like, I'm going to do this. And when a man is speaking, I'm going to do this. That is the difference between the pitch and the.
But sir, when the volume increases, the pitch remains the same.
Yeah. Volume is you correctly mentioned it almost. That is, I mean, what you said. Volume is जो अपन करते हैं, that is large, high volume, low volume.
In the same pitch.
Yeah, in the same pitch. Now, what exactly is a pitch? A pitch is that is basically pitch means from which vocal cord are you using to express the same thing. Now, pitch is very important, especially in singing. It's extremely important because otherwise you will be a monotone person. Similarly, in public speaking, it's a very similar thing. If you're using the same pitch, then when you're delivering speech, your speech will be considered a monotone speech. So, not only speech, even when you're talking to anyone else, like, I mean, unfortunately, we Indians do not have so much pitch when we are doing general conversation, when we are conversing with people. However, Westerners and mainly Americans just see the way that they use the pitch. That's why they're able to express themselves so well. Now, I'm not saying it's something wrong, but it's something which is not in our culture. But it can be developed if you do it properly, if you use it properly. Now, one main exercise for pitching or for developing a pitch, different pitches, is again doing a very simple exercise, which we all know, that is Sare Gama Padani Sa. Now, let's all do it here, and let's see that is which pitch are we using. Now, for example, I'll just demonstrate it to you. For example, I'm saying Sa. So there will be a vibration at one place in our throat. Sa. So just feel your throat. Say Sa. And just feel कि कहाँ पर आपके vibration हो रहा है. In which part of your throat?
The lower part.
Yeah. So you feel the vibration. Now say Re. The vibration goes high. सा से लेके सा तक का जो वाइब्रेशन है, so it depends on which chord are we using to speak. So that is what is the pitch. We can speak from any pitch. Just like I was speaking like a Dadaji, so it was a different pitch. When I was speaking like a kid, it was a different pitch. So pitching is very important to express, like for vocal variety in any speech. So again, you have to know, you have to judge which pitch do we have to use for which point in our speech. Okay, each and every pitch or expressing from each and every pitch has got its own meaning and value. Okay, so this is because a lot of time this thing gets confused, pitch and volume. A lot of time people confuse it. So know what is the volume, know what is the pitch.
Sir, is it also specified which pitches demonstrate which one?
It's again it again comes down to the head voice, chest voice, and different characters. Okay, just suppose आपके story में there are 3 kirdars. So how do you differentiate those 3 kirdars? So that all comes through pitching. Okay, that is दादी कैसे बोल रही है, बेटी कैसे बोल रही है, how is that saying? Okay, so it all comes through pitching. So it refers to the highness. Change in the pitch is called inflection. Okay. Now the rate of speaking. Again,
Pitch also changes with the emotions.
Yes, it does. It does. A pitch changes with emotion as well. For example, if you are speaking with grief, so at that time your pitch has to be very somber, along with the volume. All these things have to play together. Okay. Now again, the rate of speaking. As I mentioned before, I've already showed you the exercise how to decrease the rate, especially for people who are speaking fast. That's how you decrease the rate. But when do you speak slow, or why do you speak slow, and why do you speak fast? Any answer? That is when there are some cases when you should even speak fast. There's nothing. I mean, it adds to the tempo of the speech.
So when we are anxious or when something, for example, we are about to miss the train, so when we speak in faster tone. But when we want to put a certain emphasis on a word, then we slow down the rate.
Very good example. Yes.
If we are delivering any important message, we slow down pace. And if we are doing any just normal, telling this normal thing, we just fasten our pace to save our time.
Yes. Exactly. No, the thing is that whenever you want to show anxiousness towards anything, at that time you will always fasten your pace. Just we give a very good example. That is like to catch a train. I was going from Jaipur to, I wanted to travel from Jaipur to Mumbai. And I almost missed my flight. I was shouting and screaming at my taxi driver, please go fast, but he was still slowing down and listening to the music. He was saying, Arey saab, it doesn't matter, enjoy the music. I said, what music do you mean? Don't you know that I've got a very important flight to catch? You speak at a very fast pace. And what happened when I reached the airport, do you know? I missed my flight. I missed an important meeting. This important meeting meant life and death for me. Slow down, please. Okay, so know those points again in your speech where you have to like speed it up and when you have to slow it down. The rate. Another important point is pausing. This is a very important point. Pausing. Now, what is the significance of pausing? I would like to ask you all.
So for any funny statement, for any pause, and for any thoughtfulness, so the person can thought, audience can thought on certain topic, then also you can do pause.
When you want the audience to digest something that you just said, so that is when you use pauses.
Right.
Pause also created curiosity.
Exactly. Very good.
Awaiting your audience to respond on your question or something.
Good. Very good. Okay, now you all got exercise 3. Now in exercise 3, I want you to point out the place where you should pause in that particular speech. First of all, I'll just tell you about this exercise 3. This is a speech from Martin Luther King. I hope you all know who Martin Luther King.
Yes.
So this is his famous speech which he had delivered. It's the first paragraph of that speech. So where would he pause? Where should he pause? All right. Okay. Please read it and let us know. You also need to pause at the correct areas.
I'm happy to join with you today in what will go down in the history as the greatest demonstration for freedom in the history of our nation. 50 years ago, a great American in whose symbolic shadows we stand today signed the Emancipation Proclamation. The movement decree came as the great beacon light of hope to millions of Negro slaves who had been seared in the flames of withering injustice. It came as joyous daybreak to end the long night of their captivity. But 100 years later, the Negro still is not free. 100 years later, the life of the Negro is still sadly crippled by the manscles of segregations and the chains of discrimination. 100 years later, the Negro lies on a lonely island of poverty in the midst of a vast ocean of material prosperity. 100 years later, the Negro still languishing in the corners of American society and finds himself an exile in his own land. So, we have come here today to dramatize a shameful condition.
Okay, now see, pausing, and you had all mentioned why it is important to create anxiety or to create curiosity. Alright? Now, generally in speeches, pauses are given not only for this, it is also given for audience to digest a message. Now, in this particular speech, you will notice a repetition of one sentence, at least 3 or 4 times, 100 years later. Now, this particular speech is also available on YouTube, so listen to this carefully. Whenever Martin Luther King, he speaks about it, Martin Luther King Jr. speaks about it, he says, but 100 years later, pausing, the Negro still is not free. 100 years later, the life of the Negro still stands crippled by the manacles of segregation and the chains of discrimination. 100 years later, the Negro lives on a lonely island of poverty in the midst of vast ocean of material prosperity. 100 years later, the Negro is still languishing in the corners of American society and finds himself an exile in his own land. Okay, so whenever you're emphasizing a particular point, pause for some time. And believe it or not, this is one of the most difficult things to do, pausing, in any speech. I attended a workshop by Darren Lacroix. He was the world champion of public speaking, I think 2006 or 2008. Then he himself had demonstrated, he called a couple of volunteers with this speech and he asked them to just say, like there were just 2 sentences. After the first sentence, the speaker had to pause. And you could make it out it was so difficult for him to pause. Like it sounds like a very simple thing, but it's very difficult to release.
So, sir, before delivering the important message, we have to
again, before delivering an important message, and in this case, it is one particular message, which is one particular sentence, which is being repeated many times. So, before you're going to say something, 100 years later, the audience is curious now. After 100 years later. So, arouse curiosity in this manner.
So because this topic is about injustice, so the repetition works. Because we are told not to repeat words again and again while you're delivering.
No, why not? You can deliver it. Why can't you deliver it? let's say you can deliver a phrase multiple times in a speech.
So you can deliver a phrase but not a particular word. So for example, or a name of a person multiple times. Instead you at least I was told in my school that no.
There's nothing like that. As long as it makes sense, it adds value to the speech, it adds flavor to the speech.
Correct.
You can by any means do it. There's no substitute. Okay, so is this clear that is when pause should be used, when you should increase the volume, when you should decrease the volume, pitching and all those things?
So in first stanza where we have to give the pauses, apart from
Yep. I'll just I think I might be able to change it. I'm happy to join with you today, after today, there's a pause, in what is going down in history, a pause, as the greatest demonstration for freedom in the history of our nation. 5 years ago, again, the 5 साल पहले, तो you want the audience to listen. What happened 5 years ago? A great American, in whom symbolic shadow we stand today, signed the Emancipation Proclamation. Okay, now of course, जहाँ पर full stop आएगा, there will be a pause. That doesn't need to be told. So this momentous decree came. Again, pause. As a great beacon of hope to the millions of Negro slaves who had been seared in the flames of withering injustice. It came as a joyous daybreak to end the light of captivity. Okay, there's a full stop, so it's a no-brainer. But 100 years later, pause. The Negro is still not free. Pause. ठीक है ना?
Yes, sir.
So that's how pausing is done. Full stop, of course, I don't need to tell you. For a paragraph change, तो pausing आएगा. But apart from that, in a normal sentence, when exactly do you need to pause? Okay, so I hope this part is clear.
Yes, sir.
Because these 4 things are very important in delivery. Pausing really adds a lot of value to any speech. And also it also gives expression, exclamation. For example, let me say a phrase. There are top 3 situations which require witnesses. Again, I'm saying there are top 3 situations that requires witnesses. Crimes, accidents, marriages. Do I need to say anything more? Pausing. Okay, so basically these are some of the things which are. Now again, pronunciation is equally important. Pronunciation, of course, again I can't emphasize how important pronunciation is, especially if you are in front of a foreign crowd. So of course, I mean, they will really not appreciate it, especially English-speaking crowd, if your pronunciation is wrong. Because unfortunately, different countries have got different ways of pronunciation of a single word also. So just take care who your target audience is. Should it be American English? Should it be British English? Should it be Australian English? All Englishes are different and they have their own sets of pronunciations.
For example, in America you pronounce lieutenant, but in UK you lieutenant. If there is a mixed crowd of Americans and British, what would you say should you prefer?
Okay, again, there are 2 things. First of all, see the majority. Okay. And the second thing is, whenever you're giving a speech, just tell them that what is your origin. Let them you're from India, so I mean, pardon me if certain pronunciations are wrong. They will appreciate it. No one is going to do that. Okay, but it's very important to get your pronunciations correct. Okay, again the articulation and enunciation. Okay, now the thing is that whenever you're doing a red carpet announcement, what exactly is a red carpet announcement? Sorry, I'm going a little bit over time, so just bear with me for some more time. So basically, red carpet announcement is that basically when you're doing a very special announcement in order to honor someone. Okay, excuse me. Can you settle it down? Okay, so now this red carpet announcement. It's very important, and this is very important because you need to lower and upper your volume. Okay, because you can't be very flat speaking person whenever you're doing any type of announcement to honor anyone. Okay, so at that time, be enthusiastic, be excited. Again, I'm not saying that is just shout and scream over there, but what I mean is that be lively at that time. So liveliness is very important before you're going to deliver any important speech. Alright, be enthusiastic and just see that everything is alright. So again, your speech, you have to speak clearly and appropriate, and also know what you're going to speak to them. Okay, I just go through this again very quickly. Now this thing was partly covered like when I done the last speech. The choices of words makes a very big impact on any type of speech which you are delivering. So now consider something that is, first of all, try to avoid using the word very. She is very beautiful. She looks gorgeous. She looks splendid. Okay. Now, for example, be expressive. For example, let's just say Christine was very angry. So how did Christine behave? Christine clenches her fist and storms out of the room. The audience is able to visualize it. So whatever you're writing, expressing anything, make the audience visualize it. Once the audience is visualizing her response, she clenched her fist and she really stormed out of the room. They'll be able to paint the picture.
So the people who write novels do it very well.
Yeah.
To make the audience visualize.
Yeah. So the same thing comes in speech also. Make the audience visualize. Make the audience visualize how was the weather, how was the place. Like you have the main premises of your story. Make the audience visualize it. So instead of saying James is hungry, James grabbed a sandwich and chomped on it immediately. Okay? These are just certain examples. Okay, now just there are a lot of different words which you can use for anger. So instead of saying that she was very angry, he was very angry, he snapped at him, he fumed at him, he roared at him. Express the words. Similarly, like for all different things, like for excitedness, again there's qualitative words, use more expressive words rather than just saying very words for excited and all this. Express it. Okay, so again, I'm not going to go through so much details. It's all available to you. Self-explanatory. The vivid words. Okay, so try to use these things. Okay, now actually I wanted someone to give any speech or anything. I mean, if they want to really practice or express, but I came to know that certain people had backed out. So a lot of people had backed out, so there was no speaker available as such. So probably I just gave a very small, not a speech, it's just a small joke or something. And I tried to use all those things which I had expressed today. I'm not saying I'll be able to express or use everything. Okay, now before that, I would also like to mention to you that although our essay today mentioned that we do not use three things, SRPs, sex, religion and politics. But however, that is not true in Toastmasters. I'll just give you a very small background. It can be a rule for a club. That is, the club does not appreciate sex, religion, politics, but Toastmasters does not have anywhere in its rule. It's written very clearly that is, all these things can be used, but the important thing is that we must be sensitive of others. That is, I mean, I must not say anything about sex which embarrasses the girls or anything, or something, in a very vulgar manner. Similarly, about religion, it should not disrespect any religion as such. Similarly, about politics, of course, different people might be of different political affiliation. For example, I might be a Congress person, you might be a BJP person, so I will not say anything against BJP or Congress, which creates disharmony in the room. Alright? Otherwise, in Toastmasters, everything is permitted as long as it is within the limit and it is just to lighten up the movement. Okay, but of course, no one should get offended by that. Now again, in India, the reason this came up, SRP, this rule came up, generally in Indian club only you will find this explicitly mentioned. It is because in India, Toastmasters has evolved from Middle East. And Middle East is a very restrictive country. So that is the reason out here it is generally spoken before the meeting. Whereas the place where I am a Toastmaster, I'm still a Toastmaster in Singapore. So in Singapore, Toastmaster has come from UK. That is about 60 years ago, whenever it was. So out there, people are sensitive, and of course no one likes to speak any out there, but hence there is no such restriction as long as it is spoken in a correct manner. Alright? Yeah. So today, again in a lighting mood, I'm just delivering a speech, which might break the protocols of what you had mentioned before. Okay, the name of the speech is of a dog I had, of a dog I owned, and the name of the dog was a dog named Sex. Alright? So friends, everyone keeps a dog. Some call the dog by the name of Rover, some call it Boy, some call it Tommy or Timmy. But I named my dog Sex. He's a very good friend of mine, but he caused me a lot of embarrassments. Now let me tell you about some of the embarrassments. When I went to the city hall and when I got my dog Sex, I really hugged him. But I went to the city hall to register his name. And I told them, I want a license for my Sex. The officer looked at me. He said, you don't need a license for Sex. No, he said, you see my Sex, she's so beautiful, I need to have a license. He said, no, it doesn't matter. As long as you are faithful, everything is alright. Okay. So I said, well, but you see, I've had Sex since 9 years old. Oh my God, you must be such a person. 9 years old. I said, no, that's not a thing. I've always been faithful. Friends, when I got married, I took my dog along with me. I called the motel clerk and I told them that I want a room for me and my wife, and I want a room for Sex. He said, you don't need any special room for Sex. As long as you pay your bills, everything else is just taken care of. No, I told him, you don't understand. You don't know, but Sex keeps me awake all night. Well, the hotel manager said, strangely, I also have the same problem. One day, I entered Sex in a contest. But just before the competition began, my dog ran away. And then another contestant asked me, what happened? I said, I'm so disappointed. Sex has run away from my life. And I wanted to have Sex because I wanted to show Sex on TV. He said, that's not permitted at all. But that's how it happened. Now later on, me and my wife separated. And we were fighting for the custody of the dog. We both loved him immensely. I said, Your Honor, I had Sex before marriage. The judge said, please stick to your case. Don't speak anything silly out over here or out of context. Then I told him that after I was married, my Sex left me. The judge said, me too. Last night, my Sex ran off again. I spent hours looking for him all over the town. And a cop came over to me and he said, what are you doing at 4 o'clock in the morning? I said, I'm looking out for Sex. I got arrested and my case, it comes up on Friday. And finally, I was referred to a psychiatrist. The psychiatrist asked me the details of my problem and I told him that my life has become useless without Sex. The psychiatrist told me, you can fix it all. Just go and get a dog. So friends, this is just a small story which I wanted to write to narrate it to you. Alright, so basically use all the aspects, use vocal variety, use stage movement, use everything else to make your speech powerful, spice it up, put some more masala in your speech. And we can all do it. It's not only me, that every speaker who has come up on the stage has always failed 100 times before he really succeeded. Okay, so with that I would like to conclude the session. Sorry I became a bit late, I went over time. Okay, so thank you everyone.
Thank you.